Oops. Whoops. I recorded it to my Zoom account by mistake. That's okay. It'll still be there. Welcome everybody to the Small Business JUG. This is our October meeting, and it's for business owners who are designing websites in Joomla. And I've heard we've been called now the integrators of Joomla. And I think that's really fascinating. And maybe Laura can even bring up a little bit about what that is all about. But today we do have a speaker, Richard Gosler, the new Outreach board member for OSM. So we're really excited to hear what he's going to talk to us about as our speaker. But before we get started, we usually go around the room and we just say hello to everyone. Tell us who you are, where you're from, how long you've been doing Joomla. And today, if you want to just mention something that you found interesting about Joomla, if you've gone on a trip or if you've heard about some changes in Joomla, you want to highlight it, no more than like just a minute or so, and we'll get around the room and then we'll have Richard take over and we'll do it from there. So let's go ahead and I'll just say who's going to speak and just take it from there. Let's have Paul go first and then Joe.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm in beautiful Tennessee where the leaves are just starting to change and the weather is spectacularly beautiful and comfortable. So it's a good morning and a good day. I've been doing Joomla since, I don't know, version 1.0. I'm not sure how many years that is. I lost track, just like I'm losing track of how old I am. I had a birthday the other day and I don't believe I'm that age. But that's beside the point. And if you're not that old yet, you will be, I hope. Um, my biggest thing right now is I've taken over Pat Vandenbosch's website. She's had a whole series of really bad health conditions, and she's in a nursing home right now. And relied a great deal on Tim for some of his help. We moved all of our sites over to Tim's system, and he's been great in working with her. So we're busy updating sites and keeping things going. So I'm just anxious to hear what the rest of you got to talk about.
Wonderful. Let's hear from Joe and then Dario.
So I'm Joe Sunny. I'm in Canada, and I've been in Joomla since 2005, which is Joomla 1.0, and I'm in flux right now because I moved from one city to another, bought an old house that got completely stripped to the walls, and it's being rebuilt. But in the meantime, I'm making the transition from a Joomla front-ender to a Joomla back-ender, which is something I always wanted to do, and it's taking a little bit of time. So that's my excitement for these days.
Wonderful. Let's hear from Dario and then Sarah.
Hi, I'm Dario Minetti. I'm in New Jersey. I work with Laura Gordon at Rutgers University. I've been in this department, I think, 2 years now, 3 years. I've lost track. 3? Okay. But before that, I was the webmaster at a local public school district where I maintained about 13 different sites just using HTML and Dreamweaver. So I'm pretty new to Joomla, so I'm always learning.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming. Sarah, do you want to say hello? And then Tim?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm also from New Jersey. I work with Dario and Laura at Rutgers. This is the first CMS I've ever worked with, so it's really cool learning how to use it. I've been working with Joomla since I was with the team, so for about 2 years now.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming. Tim, do you want to say hello? And then Anne?
Me. Hi, everyone. Tim Davis here from the left coast of Canada, southern tip of Vancouver Island. I'm enjoying my Joomla hoodie these days. I've been wearing it everywhere. I love batch removal of tags in Joomla 6. Oh my goodness. Chef's kiss. That's what I like.
Oh my God, I don't know what that is. Batch removal tags. Okay, so you can remove all your tags in one batch. Okay.
Well, yeah, you can remove them from articles. So
in a batch feature instead of doing them one at a time.
Yeah, you could add, yeah, you used to have to go in and open the article and remove it if you didn't, like if you accidentally assigned them, then you had a lot of fiddly things, but now you can select the articles and remove them. And that's great.
Yeah, wonderful. Anne and then Maria.
Hi, I'm Ann Noter Thomas, and I'm in Syracuse, New York. And I've been using JOOMLA since 2011. I just have I've got all these new clients coming, and I'm moving them off of WordPress. I have 4 right now. And one I'm moving off of Wix. So it's kind of exciting. I've never had this much business coming at me in such a short time.
That's great. You're going to show them the way.
Hope so.
Right, the right way to do it. Maria and then Brian.
Hi there. So can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Maria. I'm the president of JOOMLA. I don't know how this happened. I have been using JOOMLA since 2005, 6, so pretty much in the beginning. I've always been building websites with JOOMLA, and I loved it so much that people were calling me JOOMLA Love because I loved it so much. And back then, nobody used to know it. So long story short, I am based in the UK. Now I have a business which creates tools for agencies that use JOOMLA and other CMSs and software to convert it to software as a service businesses. I'm very excited about JOOMLA and the new potential that we have to bring it to new heights, because recently I joined a conference in Brussels where all the regulation is getting drafted and where everything is taking place. And what I have as a message to tell you is that open source is massively conquering the entire world now, and everybody's realizing it, also regulators and countries. So very excited about this group, and I just look forward to see what everybody has to say next. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Brian and then Laura.
Hi, I just realized I've logged in with the wrong account on Zoom, so I'll be log out in a minute and log back in again with the correct one. So I guess I've been with JOOMLA since pre-day 0, so conception rather than birth. That's a strange way of saying it. I don't think I'm going to say that one again. I'm getting ready to speak at JOOMLA Day France this weekend, virtually. Unfortunately, I can't be there. So I'm quite looking forward to that. And not really excited about the stuff in JOOMLA 6 that Tim mentioned, just simply because I've been using it quite a long time now. So it's no longer new to me. The one really cool bit is, I think, the way that child templates work in JOOMLA 6. I think you're going to find if you've used templates and child templates, that's definitely an area that's got quite some interesting new changes or stuff that will just make life easier. And that's it. I'm going to log out and log back in again with the correct account now.
Okay. Laura, and then I'll go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Gordon. So fun stuff. I was able to participate in the JOOMLA 8 sprint in Germany in early September. So that was really exciting to be. I felt like I was in the room where it happens. It was very cool. So looking forward to some of the new features that were discussed and talked about. And then I was with Robin in Amsterdam, and we each spoke, but I spoke at JOOMLA Dagen, and it was great. And it was great to sit with my JOOMLA friends for a couple of days. And yeah, that was great. And for JOOMLA 6, I'm really excited about versioning of custom fields, something that should have been around from when custom fields first came out. So now I'm glad that custom fields are giving the love that it should have been getting. And then, of course, it's my job to push JOOMLA Day USA. So save your dates in the calendar. If you go to jdayusa.com, the hotels are ready. We're going to be doing this in a hotel, in a conference room in a hotel, not a free space. The food is going to be catered from the hotel. So we're bringing our event up another notch. So I hope you can all participate, figure out how to get your flights, get your passports ready, and come on over to Florida. It's in Del Rey. You can walk to the beach. There's a pool on the roof. And it's a walkable town, so you can walk to restaurants and things like that. So if you're able to come, we would love to see you. But we will have a hybrid option as well, so people can participate virtually. And it will be a 3-day event, again, as what we did in the past. And if you're interested in speaking, please fill out the speaker form. We've gotten a bunch already, but you can speak either in person or virtually. And that's my plug. So there you go.
Wonderful. I'm actually, I'm going to have Richard say hello first, and then Emmanuel can go after.
Hi, I'm Richard Gosler. I'm your outreach department coordinator, and that's all I'm going to say, as I have more to show you in a bit.
Okay. Emmanuel, you're in a car. Do you want to say hello, or? Hopefully he's not the driver. I'll get back to him. So hi everyone, my name is Robin Clapp, and Joe and Richard and I run this JOOMLA JUG. I think we're on like year 3 or 4. I've been working in JOOMLA since 2006, so it'll be 20 years this January. I only design websites in JOOMLA. I helped with the J-Day USA stuff for the last couple of years, and I was very fortunate to be able to go out to the Netherlands for JOOMLA Dagen with Laura, and they asked me to speak, so I was very excited to speak with them about my topic was more of a soft topic. We talked about what it's like to establish and grow a business building websites in JOOMLA in particular, but mostly about the sales and making money and keeping clients happy and all of the great things we can do to earn a living just because we're using this wonderful community and the tool that it provides. And why it's so important to make sure that you give back and thank your community, because without it, would we have businesses that make money because of this tool? And so that's why I love today's topic from Richard, because giving back to the one thing that gives to you every single day is really important. Manny, do you want to say hello? Are you able to say hello? I'm gonna call you an observer, and if you want, you can always say hello in the chat. Oh, here you are. Say hi.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you want to say hello? You
Oh,
came in
because my name is not Manny. Just
oh, sorry, Emmanuel.
Yeah, sorry. I don't respond to that name. That's okay.
My apologies.
Yes, hi everybody. Everybody knows me. You know, just say hi. I'm literally traveling in a car from La Rochelle to Paris, so I will turn off the video soon just to save on bandwidth.
Okay,
but everybody knows me. I don't need to go through an intro.
Okay, very good. Joe, would you like to introduce Richard before he gets started?
It would be good if my audio was on. So Richard Gosler, Richard, you're from the UK. I hope I'm correct on that. And
you are spot on.
All right, and he's been helping out with this virtual jug since the inception, I believe, and most recently is involved with the project. Well, it actually been involved with the project in many ways in the past. And Richard's probably got a lot more accurate stuff to say about himself than I can give to you, but I'll tell you this: that he's passionate. He runs a business with that does JOOMLA stuff and e-commerce. I think you're do a lot of that sort of thing as well too. Anyways, Richard, I wish you great success with your business, and I'm hoping to see you in person again sometime soon. So you're so far away. Anyways, that's Richard. He's great. And you're gonna love what he's got to bring to the table today. And Richard, tell us what's going on in your world.
And I believe
Okay,
you're
well,
both,
thanks.
I believe you're both musicians too. So you.
Oh man, yeah, music guy. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, you need to throw some of that stuff in, maybe some links and stuff like that about your side gig, because you're taking it to a pretty high level, and that's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wow, that's a hell of a build up. Let's hope it's not all downhill from here, but I'm sure it won't be. Right, I'm going to share my little, fingers crossed this will work. Right. Can we see a screen that says, what does outreach do?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. It's silence. It's all gone horribly wrong. Okay. Right. Well, as the introduction said, my name is Richard Gosler, and I am the department coordinator for outreach. Now, before I go on and talk about what outreach does, what outreach is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and my sort of journey in my career and how I got into JOOMLA. So, fun graphic for the fun of it. Okay, so I trained as a commercial photographer and spent my formative years through the 80s and 90s working in catalogue and advertising. And I worked on, if you've been to the UK, you may have heard of the Argos catalogue, very well-known high street catalogue. At its height, they were printing 30 million editions a year. So I spent an awful lot of time banging out stuff for catalogues, room sets, people, covers, toys. That's actually me from 1988. It's the same background as the top left image. So I had a model coming in, so I did some selfies, which was quite a different kind of thing to how you would do it now. But so that's me. So I worked in photography exclusively into the mid-90s, and then started playing with the web. And by sort of 2000, probably 30% of my work was web-based, doing stuff for my photography clients. And then around about 2010, it was almost exclusively web and a bit of photography on the side. What's coming up next? Right. So, as Joe said, I'm in the UK, and here's a handy little map to show you exactly where I am. So I live in a town called Poole, which is in Dorset on the south coast, and it is a seaside town. We've got 12 miles of beach like this. It's fantastic. I walk my dog there pretty much every day. So that's where I am. We're about an hour and a half from London, which is sort of just up and over a bit. And yeah, so I run an agency. It's almost exclusively JOOMLA. I do a bit of other stuff as well, but it's predominantly JOOMLA. I've been working with JOOMLA for 8 to 10 years now. So relative newcomer compared to some of you guys, but first time I experienced it, I thought this is the thing for me. I like it. It sort of works how I think. So my agency is called Pixel House, and yeah, we do all kinds of stuff from one-man bands up to corporates and some internationals as well. So what do I do apart from building websites and doing the outreach stuff? So as Joe alluded to, I am a musician and I am a drummer in an 80s band called The Breakfast Club, which is a good name for an 80s band, I think you'll agree. So as you can see, I'm the drummer and I do my thing. So I'll share some links so you can have a look. But we're a musical family. So my wife is also a singer, and she's a vocal coach. That's her day job. So I can hear her warbling downstairs with one of her clients as we speak. That was with one of our other rockabilly bands that she was with a few years ago. And there's one other person who you've probably seen on some of the videos. Yeah, Lottie, my cockapoo. I'm sure you've probably seen. If I call her up, then she will come and join in the meeting later. Now, let's get down to what we're here for. Outreach department. What the hell's the outreach department? Well, the organization, Open Source Matters, which looks after the Joomla project, is split into 3 departments. Is the production department that looks after the actual code in the software. There's the operations department that manages people and everything around that. And then we have outreach, which you could call the fluff, basically. So the official designation is the department handles all matters relating to marketing, PR, and communications needed to tell the world about Joomla. And outreach is broken down into a series of teams. As with all of the departments, there are sub-teams, and it's all made up of volunteers. In fact, some of you have probably been members of some of these teams. So I'm going to start off with the marketing team. Now, a lot of what we do is kind of derived from the marketing team, and you will have seen our work without even realizing it. So if you've seen the new Joomla 6 website, that was produced by the marketing team. If you've seen the graphics on social media, that's produced by the marketing team. So we're kind of very busy in the background, and we kind of come up with the strategies that drive what we do. And I think there's about 20 volunteers, but there's probably sort of maybe 8 who are very, very active in terms of kind of producing graphics and working on the strategies. And then we have the social media team, which is also quite closely aligned. So we're posting onto all of the major channels. So obviously Facebook, X, we're now on Threads, with posting onto Blue Sky, pretty much everywhere. I think in the past we've done Mastodon. I'm not sure if we are still posting there, but we've got about 12 social media accounts. So we try to reach out to as many people as possible through those various social media channels. Now, I'm sure you've probably seen the community magazine. I don't have to tell them what to do. They tell me what to do. It's a good arrangement. They're fantastic. So Anya over in Netherlands, she runs that and does a fantastic job. You've probably seen that. That's produced monthly, and I don't think there's any other equivalent software project that has anything like it. It's a fantastic thing. Pizza, bugs, and fun. Okay, who's participated in that? Quick wave of hands. Excellent. So, software has bugs. So, it's up to us as the volunteers to try to squash those bugs. So we have this as a regular activity to try to find the bugs and then squash them. And obviously, with a new release of 6, people with different setups, configurations, we're going to find more and more bugs. But Pizza Bugs and Fun team, they do a fantastic job of making sure that when new releases come out, they're as good as possible. User groups. Joomla user groups, what are they? Oh, hang on, this is one, isn't it? Yeah, so there are jugs all over the planet, literally on 6 continents. And within those various jugs, they also organize their Joomla days. So we've had one recently in the Netherlands. I think we've got France this weekend. Is that right? Yep. And there's one in Spain coming up in a week or 2. Also DACH, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. I believe there's one in South America, obviously USA. And I can sort of semi-officially let you know that there will be one for the UK next year, which would be the first one in a very long time. So hopefully you'll be able to come to that, come to Bournemouth, have a lovely time on the beach. And we'll have our first UK Joomla Day for a while. Events team. So once again, this team has gone a bit since COVID. Some teams have gone a little bit quiet, but we need to kind of reinvigorate those. So obviously, when we organize events, we have to get sponsorship and funding. So that's something that we'll be looking to reinvigorate for next year. One of the teams within the JOOMLA structure is the capital team, and it's our job to find, which I'm a member of as well, and it's our job to find those sponsors and supporters. So if we have a global events team, then we find the sponsors for that, then we can put on these global events. Volunteer engagement team. So once again, this is a team that when people have been volunteers and they've been active, and then for whatever reason, they might not have been able to get involved, work gets in the way, work-life balance. So we try to re-engage those people to bring them back in. In fact, that's how I got sort of re-engaged earlier this year. So having been involved as a volunteer on the marketing team a few years ago, I was kind of contacted and said, would I like to get involved? And because of the way my work is, I had the time to get involved. So that's really important for people who have that knowledge and experience to get them back into the project. Now, marketing local community liaison. Once again, this is another team that's not been terribly active, but one of the things that I want to do in my kind of new role as Outreach DC is try to re-engage the community, the business community, the developer community, and the user community in this fantastic platform that we have. And so we're going to be organizing an outreach sprint, much like the developers had a sprint a few weeks ago, to basically create the strategy so we can re-engage, or rather engage, the business community, so that when they are looking to have a new site or a new project developed, the question we'll ask is, can it be in Joomla? We want people to be aware, as many people as possible, and for agencies to realize that there are other choices other than Wix, Squarespace, and the ubiquitous WordPress. And educational outreach, which ties in very much with the previous ones. So one of the things that I want to do as well is to engage with the next generation of designers and coders and business leaders. So, when people are learning this stuff in school, rather than just doing whatever's easy and convenient, they can find this, which is also easy and convenient, but they might not be aware of it. So we want the educators to engage. So once again, within our outreach sprint, we'll be developing a strategy to maybe create a pack, which we can then share with educators around the planet. Okay, a few more departments. The translation program team. So obviously, as you know, Joomla is available in a massive range of, an astonishingly wide range of languages, but obviously everything has to be translated. So we have a translation program team who, working with their volunteers, get stuff translated. It's fantastic, and Joomla couldn't be the amazing thing it is without it. The certification team. Once again, this is something that I think that's been a little bit on the quiet side since COVID, but it's I think there were moves earlier this year from the previous Outreach DC to get that going again. So we're going to carry on that and get and kickstart the certification team so that people can be certified, and then they can show that when they're talking to clients. And oops, oh dear, let's go back. It's too keen with the clicking. Hang on, let's. I overclicked. User research and strategy, if I can say it. So once again, getting feedback from developers, from agencies, from coders, from integrators, from everybody who works with Joomla, so that the next version isn't as, an even better product. So that's, once again, that's another vital thing that we do. And all of these things come within Outreach. Now, that is the end of my little presentation. So do you have any questions? I'm just going to stop that share now. So ask away.
What is your role in as outreach? Are you on one of the teams? Are you managing all of the teams?
I'm managing all of the teams, though, to be honest, a lot of them don't. If a team works well, then, you know, I'll leave them to do what they do, because they do such a great job anyway. So the marketing team I'm involved with, because I'm a marketeer in my work anyway. The social media team, they're fairly autonomous. They've done the job for a while. They're really good at that. The community magazine, they're amazing. They look after themselves. They tell me what to do. I don't tell them what to do. They are fantastic. So I like to have a sort of, you know, not sort of put my thumb down on anybody, but if a team's working well, I will let them get on with it. But if a team isn't doing anything, then we will look to reinvigorate that.
What is the certification? What certification do you see coming next? And how will that roll out?
That is a very good question. I'm afraid I cannot give you an answer to that. It's something that was quite active a few years ago, and looking through the notes, I could see my predecessor was trying to get that going again. But I know with quite a few platforms, there's sort of levels of certification which users can achieve by taking exams. So I think the plan is to reinvigorate that so people can be kind of qualified and certified as JOOMLA experts.
I think Brian has his hand raised, and so does Maria.
All right, who wants to go first?
I'll jump in first.
Go on.
Only because I was going to ask you a similar question to the last one.
Okay.
About certification. The certification thing was a huge amount of effort by a group of people to put together that certification. One of the problems today, though, is that most of the exams took place at JOOMLA days.
Right.
And as we know, we're having less JOOMLA days with less attendees at those JOOMLA days, or the virtual JOOMLA days, or hybrid.
Okay.
And I'm just questioning the amount of work that group of people put in to create the 300 questions or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Was enormous. And I'm questioning whether that we should evaluate we should evaluate whether it is still a good idea and a practical idea today for so much work to go into something which possibly is not as useful, relevant, valid today as it was back then. It was seen originally as a revenue stream, but that never happened. That realistically never happened. In fact, I think it actually ended up costing the project quite a lot of money.
Right.
So it means nothing to me, the certification, but I know it does to other people. It's just the practicality of it and the amount of work that goes into creating it. I just would like you to consider whether that's a realist, something that's worth doing.
Okay.
Because they spent about 2 years writing the questions, and none of them can be reused today.
Just in time for them to be out of date for the next version of JOOMLA, then.
Well, that was the thing when JOOMLA 3 had such a long life.
Yeah.
It wasn't such an issue, but obviously it's more of an issue now. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say.
No, that's a fair point. I've not read through all the notes, but I was just skimming through them the other day, and so I thought I'd just kind of mention it as it falls within the remit of outreach. So
it's interesting because I think there are factors to that certification that are not always seen. For one thing, like having been coding websites in JOOMLA for 10 or 15 years at the time when that certification came out, thought, oh, I should be able to take that test and pass it. And I did. And then I did it at JOOMLA Day New York, and I met Laura and it became a place in which it brought people who had been using Joomla together that wouldn't necessarily. So it's almost an outreach, which I think is interesting that this is an outreach discussion. Because I look all the time, like at accessibility, and there's CPAC, there's certifications for that. W3C did one that I took that one as well. And then there's all, I mean, when you go onto LinkedIn and you look at all of the certifications that people have, to have one that said that there's a Joomla one, you have like, now you have a flag that this person uses Joomla and they're interested in being enough to be certified. Now you have like people that you could reach out to. It's interesting because maybe it should be as part of job descriptions to be hired to be like Joomla certified. I don't know like where that could go, but outreach wise, it is something that just tells you who's using it and who cares enough to get the certification.
And that's one of the things, Robin, is that culturally, in some places, being certified is incredibly important. And in other places, people look at it with, oh, it's just, you just ticked a box, and it has no meaning. And I just wanted to raise that thing that it is you're correct. In some cultures and some places, it has value, but the amount of work involved in it to create it, which was huge. I mean, I remember I reviewed all the questions after they'd been written. And in fact, that they'd been written and tested, and then I reviewed them again. And I think I spent 3 days solid just to review all the questions that had been written and made a few corrections. And they'd been working on that for 9 months, the whole team. So it's a lot of work.
Maria? Did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Robin. Thank you very much for your comments, everyone. So I was planning to ask a question which is relevant to what we are discussing because it's about the event that is going to take place in the UK. But after these conversations, and especially what Brian said about putting so much effort about the certification, I was wondering maybe if there would be another way which would not require us to put so much effort. But let's say that we have the participants creating a website in Joomla from scratch without any plugins and whatever, with menus and articles and a very nice template, like a way for them to demonstrate their skills practically without having to go through theory or answering questions. Of course, this is very important and it shows familiarity with the subject that they will be demonstrating that they know. But on the other hand, what if we have them there, build websites, then we can make also a contest among those websites and see which is the best, and all of them getting certified, get a t-shirt perhaps, like what happens with AWS certifications, and as a gift, and of course the certification, and not requiring anybody putting the effort to create those questions. So maybe we could combine it with the event that is happening in the UK. And my initial question was, Richard, when will this take place? Are there any plans? At what stage are we about it? So thank you very much.
I've been chatting with Phil about it. So I think if it happens next year, it will be in the springtime. Obviously, not to coincide with J-Day USA, to avoid that.
Okay, so you don't have dates yet.
I don't have a finite date yet, no.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, Maria, because I think we sometimes just get stuck on it has to be a test and you have to pass it with this percentage in order to get the certification, because that's very typical. But flipping it upside down and maybe think of other ways in order to grant that certification is not a bad idea. It's just, wow, what would that be? But and definitely sounds like it could be a discussion for that committee. Because getting a group of people that are certified worldwide is pretty amazing. And of course, you don't want to just give it away or have people able to cheat their way, but just the idea, I mean, you probably have a little bit of that anyway. But the bulk of it will be honest people who want to add that checkbox to their qualified skills, and then therefore are telling us that Joomla is important to them. Joe?
Right, I have an off the wall suggestion that ties in with the general idea of building it. Let's make this thing fun. You know, we mentioned the fact that some people use this sort of identification or designation to help them in their own marketing or whatever. What if we had a contest where you said you could either have a team of 1 or 2 or 3 people or whatever, and you put out, say, a scope of this is what the website that you are all going to be building, and have a contest and then award a prize to whoever, you know, gold, silver, bronze, and give them a designation of being a Joomla champ. Because all the work, if it's not fun, and I will tell you that all the work, I saw all the work that from the side of the people who did that certification stuff, and it was immense. And you know, and when it's not fun, it's hard to keep it going. And now you can see that it's no longer functioning or relevant. But the general idea of recognition, I think, is the key thing that we want to maybe zoom in on. And I think the idea of having Joomla champs, you know, in an award, a badge of honor or something, might accomplish something similar than as a certification.
One of the things we used to do years ago, I used to do quite a lot of archery, and within our archery club, you know how in martial arts they would award belts from sort of progressively easy up to black belt. They used to award ribbons to the young kids and the adults as well, as they sort of went from progressively more and more difficult targets. So something like that would be quite good in education, to have a series of staggered sort of progress rewards. So, you know, from the most basic things, deploy a site, put a logo in it, right up to building Amazon, you know, and that'll definitely get a black belt or something like that. So that kind of thing. So it's, you know, gamified a little bit. It'd be quite good for within education. Laura, you're on mute.
Okay. A couple of quick things. I completely agree with Brian with the amount of time, because I actually helped out. I was working with SD when we were trying to get the certification moved from 3 to 4. And we started going through question by question to see what needed to be changed, which didn't. And it hours and hours and hours of work. But I want to kind of, and this isn't the discussion on who's, you know, what should the certification exam be, but I just want to bring up, you have to figure out who is it that you're trying to do this for? What is the purpose? A competition is lovely, not something I would ever do. You couldn't pay me to do a competition. It's not my thing, would never do it. Maybe some people would. I know Brian mentioned Crystal tried to do that before and nothing really happened. But like I teach at Joomla Day USA, there is something we can do though. So at Joomla Day USA, I teach a 1-day intro to Joomla class from start to finish. Now, one thing that we can start doing is having a certificate is different than a certification. So a certificate could be that they took the class, right? This is just basic low level. Adam and Robin, they're going to be teaching a coding class, right? So perhaps at these different Joomla Day events, if we do something more significant than just a 45-minute session, something where people participate, they have to answer a quiz or something like that, perhaps we could figure out how to create a certificate for that specific class. And basically, so like at Rutgers, for example, I am taking a class called Data Stories That Stick. It's a 5-week class. I attend, you know, it's virtually whatever, and I do that. I have to take little quizzes, do discussion things, whatever. And at the end, I'm going to have a certificate. So, and it may be a USA thing, Brian, but that's okay. I'm saying if we know who it's for, if that's something that for people in the United States that might help, then we can do that. It doesn't mean everyone has to do it, right? It doesn't have to be done by Central Joomla. So just all of that. And then the other issue with the certification, again, is who is it for? Because one problem with it was when we were at in Spain, and Brian, I think you were on my team. And one of the things we talked about was if there could be a content editor exam, which is very different than someone that's an administrator. And the reason for that is because there are people that manage the websites that may not be administrators, but especially in the United States, that could be helpful to have a certificate that you know really how to manage content. You understand categories, menus, and all that, the easy stuff, right? Maybe that level might be worth looking into, which is very different than the administrator exam and knowing how the languages worked and stuff like that. How I got a 94 in that test, I have no idea because it was hard. It was beautiful. It was so hard. It was so good. But that might not be for everybody also. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, there you go. Oh, one more thing. I sent a link in there. I'm sorry. We are doing a UXD study with the Rutgers Master's Program. They're doing a UXD study on joomla.org website. I threw in a link. Anyone can participate. It's to test the joomla.org website from an objective perspective. And these are from students that don't know Joomla. So if anyone's interested in participating, I put the link in the chat. It won't take you, I don't know what tests they're doing at what point. It may be heat map testing. It may be sorting group testing, different types of user experience design testing. Please participate and let your clients know too, because that would be good. There you go. Sorry.
I saw that Paul had his hand up.
Yeah, I'm looking at a little bit different perspective on it. I'm trying to come at it from a user's perspective, which I think ultimately is what matters to most of us. If you have a certification within this group, it's not really that big of a deal for any of us to worry about a certification. But if I have a certification, I'd like to be able to put it out there as part of my portfolio and say, this is giving me credibility. So a few years ago, I was a member of a group that did website reviews and comments. People would submit their websites and we'd take a look at it and come back with comments. I think that's really what matters. Now, I'm in the process right now of taking over Pat Vandenbosch's websites. And regardless, Pat's a good developer. But regardless, we have different outlooks and different ways of doing things. And as I go through her websites, I'm learning some things that she did that maybe I ought to incorporate. But I'm also seeing some things where she was a bit weak. And quite frankly, I really don't care as much about your technical skills in administering a website or even being able to, whether you know how to do an override or that kind of thing. I'm really more interested in how well you're able to express the content that a user community can relate to. And I think when we start looking at other websites, we can begin to see weaknesses and strengths of people and how they do things. So going back to some of the things with LinkedIn, for example, it will often list all of the different skills that you have in different ways. Now, I think with Joomla, there are so many different frameworks out there that perhaps someone that's got an experience with Gantry, or someone that's got an experience with the T4, or somebody's got an experience with Helix. I think all of those require some different approaches in how you do it, and it's not always easy for us to move from one to the other. But what I think is really important is that we could assemble a group of people to evaluate the websites that other people in our group have done, along with the kind of intent of what it is and so forth, and get a pretty good idea whether this is a capable, qualified developer. I don't think that necessarily passing a test is really going to indicate to the public whether or not you ought to be a certified developer. Sometimes, you might be technically correct, but the website itself is a piece of junk in terms of how it really comes across to the people that we're intending it for. So I would prefer to look at more a user-centric review standpoint of what we can come up with, building on maybe what Joe was talking about.
There's some great points. Thank you, Paul. Joe, do you want to respond?
So I have a question for Richard. We spent a lot of time on that one thing. Richard, how do you measure the success of your position as the outreach coordinator? So at the end of the term, what will you use to say, hey, we moved the ball forward?
Good question. I think user volunteer engagements, which had got to quite a low stage. So if I can get people more engaged who are working within the various outreach teams, if we can achieve some of the goals that I put in my manifesto, which is like trying to grow awareness of JOOMLA within education and business. So if we can achieve some of those, then I will, consider that a win.
I have a question. Based on our last meeting, we had a JUG last month where we had SD here talking about guided tours. And it occurred to me, and it's come up a couple of times, wouldn't it be wonderful in JOOMLA 6 or JOOMLA 7, I don't know, I haven't looked at 6 yet, but a guided tour that brought us a brand new install, and you could choose to go through this guided tour or not, especially if you're installing 20 websites a year, you probably don't want to see it again. But if you're installing it for the first or second or third time, that says, hey, look, we have this great community. This is where you find the community magazine. This is a list of jugs. This is, these are events that are coming up. Do you want to be added to an email list? Would you like to be more involved with JOOMLA? And basically market to people who are installing JOOMLA websites through the guided tour tool that can be disabled, just like they ask us, do you want our data to be shared? Like, do you want to learn more? Do you want to be part of the JOOMLA community? Yeah. Would you like to find out more ways to do it? Why isn't that? This is where we're talking about these people who are editing content, or they're being administrators, or they're, like the everyday users that have all kinds of different skills that we could use. We may not be able to code any code, but we have a lot of different skills that could fill in some gaps and provide new volunteers for the future.
That falls outside of our department, so that's more production, I would say, but it's certainly something we could liaise with, and I think it would be quite
carries
nice
over
idea.
To outreach, though, doesn't it? It's something a marriage between the two, right? So
exactly, yeah. So we need to cross-pollinate our ideas, but that's a nice idea.
Anyone? Tim's got a question?
Yeah, Richard, during the 20th celebration week in August, Mark DeChevre did a presentation on JOOMLA automation made easy. So I helped record that and I uploaded it to the channel. It's just sitting there unlisted. So it hasn't been promoted. So who should I mention that to, since you've got lots of teams under you? You? Okay. Yeah. All right. Because it's really good material, and I know probably in the transition it just got forgotten about or missed, but it's
no, that's fine. Drop me a message through Mattermost and we'll make sure it gets pushed out.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks for that. Maria, did you want to add something?
Yes, I wanted to add something in the sense of the roles that people have now as JOOMLA web developers or whatever, because Robin mentioned that now we are called integrators. So would you like to talk to us about that, Robin? I was hoping that this is not going to be forgotten, because I think it's a nice point to talk about.
Well, Laura had mentioned that to me because she did the sprint in September, and they were identifying all of the users of JOOMLA, and she said your group is now being called the integrators, and that's interesting, because sometimes I feel there are so many of us that unless we go to our very first JOOMLA conference, don't even realize that there's a community, but yet we're working in JOOMLA every single day, building websites for clients. And there's been many, I mean, Anne's here, she can attest to it. The value of community that is taking our businesses to the next level. There have been people I've reached out to for various other reasons that are just web designers and they're not even in Joomla. And I'm like, you should try Joomla but don't do it alone. Come to my JUG, I had someone attend J-Day USA who I talked into using Joomla and came to the beginner class. Like there's a big demographic of people that don't even realize that there's a Joomla community magazine, that there are user groups. But they're always installing Joomla. That's what I'm talking about. They're always installing Joomla. I'm building maybe a dozen websites a year, and that's, maintaining 80 websites a year. And I have so much knowledge to share with the people who are building extensions, telling them whether it works or not, or doesn't have the features I need, or does have, or I have stumbling blocks that I'm hitting all the time that, I'd love a little enhancement, but I don't have the skill to tell you how to fix it. I don't have that coding skill, but I have the knowledge of using it every day, to know that one little change could make it so much better for me, and the user experience and choosing Joomla would be enhanced. So like that's why I love the guided tour idea that she alluded to last month. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been handing over PDFs to my clients from Joomla 1.0 and telling them how to log on and make changes. And I can now do it with guided tours. And I'm like, wait a minute, we have guided tours. Why aren't we using that for outreach? Because this is the integrators that we're talking about, the Anns and the Pauls, and the folks that come on and off this meeting from month to month we're the small business jug. So that's kind of the explanation. I didn't realize we had a title until Laura talked about it, and I think it's wonderful to understand that is a definitely a bucket group of people that are important to the Joomla success.
Yes, Laura, Robin, about that, because you mentioned that Laura told you. So this is a terminology that is being used recently in Europe because the regulators, people who are in the European Commission, the commissioners and Parliament, are trying to identify the stakeholders in open source in general. So by identifying all those people who are called integrators, they use this term broadly to use it also to the new regulation that they are writing, like the Cyber Resilience Act or other acts that have to do with websites. So you most likely are going to find that also in the USA, because from what they were saying during this meeting, whatever regulation affects Europe at the moment is pretty much the same in New York State and also California, not the rest of the USA. But soon it's going to be, and of course the rest of the world.
Joe.
Is there any kind of outreach that goes into other open source projects and collaborates with each other? Is that going on?
Yes and no, not in the same way. So there's organization which Joomla currently has the presidency for, which is the Open Website Alliance, if it's okay for me to talk about that, Maria.
Of course.
Basically, it's a collaboration between Joomla, Drupal, Typo3, and not WordPress itself, but a flavor of WordPress, something called WordPress Fair, which is a distribution, a bit like some other open source products. And we came together to help discuss some of the issues surrounding EU regulation, particularly the CRA, which is the Cyber Resilience Act, and how we can respond to that, get the EU to adjust their language so it actually works with open source products and doesn't treat us in the same way as Microsoft. So yeah, we are, we have communications channels, so we do collaborate on that. So and I don't see why we couldn't talk with them on the other issues as well, as we now have this sort of open channel between these major open source platforms.
Any other questions? Anyone, here's your chance. I see Sergey, is that how you say it? You came onto the call afterwards. I want to just say welcome. And you're welcome to introduce yourself if you'd like. Yes. You want to say hi?
No, my English is not very good. English speaking is not very good. So, hello everybody. I'm just there to participate and hear you and try to understand what you say. And say how much what you do is very important for me. So that's why I'm there. Hello, Tim. And to say my
Hi,
name
Serge.
is pronounced Serge. Okay.
Serge.
Serge. Voilà. And you, as I understood, you are talking about what are the way to make Joomla. I won't say great again, but to make Joomla the same as that will be chosen by others. No.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
yes,
we want people to consider choosing it over other CMSs, and in order to do that, there is a certain amount of volunteerism that needs to happen, and then therefore you have to get the outreach. I mean, I think it's a full circle discussion, right, Richard?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And,
so I this month I've written two articles for GCM. One is my proper my own experience. I saw a client, customer, and for a WordPress site to maintain. And during the meeting, one of them said, "What? Anyway, I don't like this CMS." So I said, "What have you said?" Yes, I don't like this CMS. So I prefer Joomla. Do you know Joomla? So I said, yes, I know. I know it. Do you know me? So I think we are not too much confident. I don't know if it's the good word. Emmanuel, confiant. Emmanuel is not there. So
he's in a car.
We are not enough proud. We are not enough proud. We don't believe in our product. Because the first thing I would have said is, yes, you have a WordPress site. I can migrate it in WordPress. That's the first thing I would have said to him. And another article is a Greek community that has been in a university to present to the student the CMS Joomla. And I think it's a good idea because here in France, all the students, all the courses are for WordPress because all the students in communication, the professor, the teachers only knows WordPress because it is very easy, and they are not developers. They are not just integrators or here we say push button, push the button, press the button. So they are not good teachers, and they use the facility, the more easy, and the students don't know at all Joomla. So I think it's a good idea to speak to young people who wants to make sites or development. What is our tool, and be proud of it.
Agreed. I have a question for you. Were your articles published in the community magazine? Where was
Yes,
your
next month they are published in
Beautiful.
in 2 days.
Beautiful. I am very curious to read it. Thank you. Maria has her hand up.
Yes, I wanted to tell Serge something. So basically, from my experience, so thank you very much also for raising those points. From my experience, what happened with WordPress back in 2005, 6, 7, and so on, was that usually my customers would come to me and say, I have a website and my graphics designer did this for me and he used WordPress, not Joomla, and why should I use Joomla? This was the question. So yeah, WordPress is easy to use, and that's why I think it became so popular, because also people who had nothing to do with web development could use it because it was hands-on and easy. Of course, if you try to create a complicated application, it's going to be very hard for you to distinguish which plugins are good or not and find your way, like navigating this chaos of WordPress. So the second thing is that, very well put, we are not proud enough for Joomla. Yes, we don't go out and portray ourselves like the best CMS, because we should do that. Because at this particular moment, who are our competitors? WordPress, who offer, and being popular, offer an, I think, full of plugins where you cannot navigate when you want to create serious applications. On the other hand, we have Drupal, which is very hard to use for people who are not so very much advanced. So we are actually the best solution to create a robust and secure and accessible application, because we are we should be the ones that say what happens with accessibility in the CMS world. Okay, so we have a product which is spectacular. It's safe, secure, robust, tested so many years. And on the other hand, there's so many people who are knowledgeable about how to use it. So there is no reason for us not to be proud of our product, because it happened after so much work. It is consistent for 20 years. It is the authority in accessibility. You can create any application. If you want to see what Joomla websites look on mobile, you don't even have to go and create a web app. It's mobile friendly and ready. So there's so many reasons for us to be proud of. So I guess Richard, now as the outreach director, can create maybe a list of why we should be proud about Joomla. And we can just advertise it on all social media, also on our personal channels, because we are always leaning on Joomla. We have created our businesses, we have created so much based on that, and Joomla never disappointed us. So there's many reasons for us to be proud. Thank you very much, Serge. I will definitely read your article as well.
I have another comment, and I've always said this, and I brought this up, and I sound so American when I say it, but we are not proud. That's exactly the word. Like, we should be screaming at every single installer every single time And I know that's so not European, but I'm Americanized. So then we started this conversation before I started recording about it's sometimes annoying that our extension developers email us every time when they change one line of code. It's a part of, yes, we have this new thing to offer you, but also it's the reminder, we're still here, buy us, you know? It is a marketing thing, and we don't do any of that for Joomla Core. And I love the idea that Maria brought up, we're the most accessible CMS. And I love the last meeting. If you didn't attend it, definitely go on the YouTube and watch it with SD, with guided tours. This is a game changer. It is a soft, gentle, friendly way for people who are using Joomla every single day, building for their clients, making money off this tool, for them to say, hey, look, if you want to learn more about making your website accessible, watch this guided tour. And it just introduces 2 or 3 things that are built into Core that they don't even know about, that a guided tour could educate them. Do they get that on WordPress? Probably not. So like there are ways that we could think about all the strengths that we have being that middle CMS that are built into Core. So much is built into Core that you have to pay for on WordPress, or that are just, you have to have an advanced degree to do in Drupal. That guided tours could gently tell you and make you just a little bit smarter as an integrator, that you'd be like, oh, I want to learn more. And so then you can dig in and you can learn more. But just like an introduction to some of the great things that are in Core that make us different than other CMSs, where you can just say, here are a list of guided tours. Which one do you want to learn about? Because we are so proud of what we offer. Richard?
I put a nice little surprise into the chat. It's a screenshot from Google Speed Insights from when the Joomla 6 site was being developed, just before it went live, and the performance is incredible. If you compare those equivalent stats for Joomla versus WordPress, Drupal, and don't get me started on Wix because it's terrible, but we outperform them all on accessibility standards. It's, yeah, we're the gold seal when it comes to accessibility and standards, and we have to shout about that all the time.
Yeah, and if it means like marrying the production department a little bit, I mean, because social media is great and whatever, but I think where you're going to hit the most people is people installing Joomla. And if guided tours is the sweet way to do it, because I remember saying like, why don't we just do a pop-up and say, and they're like, no pop-ups, like no, like press the buttons, no, nothing like that. But guided tour seems like it could be that gentle, friendly way where people get to here's a bucket full of guided tours. Are you new to Joomla? Do you want to know more about these great features? And you're gonna touch households. People who have never been to a Joomla conference, there's no JUG close by. They don't know that these things even exist, but yet they're building so many Joomla websites and they're making money and making a living and putting food on the table. And that's your volunteer pool for the future. You have to bring in fresh blood. We can't always be bugging the same people over and over again. We're going to get burnout. And how do you do it? But the people who are actually using it. Yeah, you want people to choose it who have never used it before, but you're missing out on all the people that are already using it, in my opinion.
One of the things that WordPress benefits from is that it's become a term that is just everybody knows. So if you sneeze and you pull something out of a box to wipe your nose, that's a tissue. But well, maybe in North America, a lot of people just say, oh, can you pass me a Kleenex? And Kleenex is a brand that makes tissues. And so I think a lot of people will say, oh, I need a WordPress site. They're not saying, oh, I need a WordPress site because it's fast and easy and there's a huge plug-in marketing. It's like for reaching for a Kleenex. So part of so that's part of the challenge with, but I think there's probably more that's something that someone's not a developer, if I dare say. Maybe it's just the hobbyists that say that. So
I had that discussion yesterday with a client, a potential client, and they said, I have a WordPress website, but it's not secure and I can't get in to do anything. And so I need you to change the design. And I'm like, you just said it's not secure. I'm like, I got the tool that'll work for you. I have a very secure platform and you will be able to log in and make changes. Really? What's that?
We have a friend
every day, but honestly, I'm just like everybody else who's trying to build Joomla websites. Except I got lucky enough to go to the World Conference in Boston, in 2008 or whenever it was, and then my whole life changed. But I had been building websites for 3 or 4 years without even knowing this was a thing. And that makes me naive, but I think everybody's busy just trying to make a living, and maybe I should work harder to find these things, but I wouldn't have to work so hard if it was just thrown in my face every time I installed Joomla. We are getting close to the end of the hour, and I think I really appreciate discussion, and I love that I recorded it, and we'll put it up on our channel because I think it's really important. I think it's really important what you're doing, Richard.
Thank you. I think it was very productive, actually. I think we had some good discussion going on, which is the whole point of a jug. So yeah, that was good.
I definitely know that our members that come on a regular basis that are integrators, and all the great speakers that have come that are extension developers and Joomla coders, it's just been a great bridge between the different groups of people. And I know I always get smarter every single time I attend, and I appreciate it for sure, the community aspect of it. And I wish I could tell everybody who's coding in Joomla not to code alone, to come to one of these user groups or to read these articles, or to be part of it and to give back to it so that it doesn't go away. Because then what will we do? I've got 70 clients I'm maintaining on Joomla websites. I don't want it to go away. So you have to volunteer. And that's what outreach is all about. All right. Anyone else have any questions for Richard? We've got about 5 more minutes. Joe, anything?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I have one question, because here in France, I think we have a problem with external developers of not Joomla, but what we said, software as a service, SaaS, and they all have a plugin for WordPress, for example. And I think one of our work is to call them, phone them, email them, and say, why don't you have a Joomla plugin? Because it will be helpful for us and for you. And say to this type of developers that we are a community and we can be useful for them. It can be useful for them to create some plugin to interact with our websites. And in France, they never do something for Joomla. I don't know for your countries.
And that's another bucket of end users, is the extension builders, and which I have no experience with, but I know I have a lot of them attend this meeting. Olivier is one of the ones who does, and now Adam with the J2 store, and it needs to be represented as well, in a way that those folks need to be invited in the fold. Like you're saying, like why aren't you changing your code just a little bit so that it now then works with Joomla, and you're gaining another whole group of possible customers and income streams. Like I would imagine that's a whole nother discussion, but like understanding all of the users of Joomla and making sure that you're trying to open up communications with all of them is very important, I think, in the full success. Yeah, there's got to be some music groups for extension developers too. I think we've had a great discussion. What do you think, Richard? It's a good time to close out, and I appreciate
It's been good. Yeah, it's been a good level of interaction. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I always
Hopefully
love
everybody else did as well.
I always love that when there's a place to be heard, when you can hear what others have to say. And so thank you for listening to all of us.
No, it's all right.
All right, we'll wrap this up. I'm gonna have Tim close us out, and then I will save this and put it up on the YouTube channel and on my Facebook page. I will share it next month. Yannick has offered to come to the group, so he'll be speaking to us. And then I'm talking to Tim about doing something in December for us.
Cool.
Okay, well, as usual, I hope that wherever this finds you, be it morning, evening, afternoon, or tomorrow, that you are well. Until the next time, enjoy your JOOMLA sites, and God bless.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you very much. Bye.